Peace.
And welcome, and that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock and Sports Show, live from Higher Top Hard Rock and Sports Studios in beautiful Scenic Green Road, New Jersey. We are your 3-hour weekly get-together. We bring all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and, of course, the wide world of sports. And joy, folks. Well, you know, there's a lot of shows that I get on, and I'm not sure how tired I am or what motivation I have or do I want to do a show this week? I'm tired. Boy, but I floated home today, folks. I couldn't wait to get there because certain people who call themselves NFL experts decided that there was no way that the Giants could win last week. I want to say that the score that he picked was like 55 to like 7. Like something ridiculous. And, of course, anybody with a brain out there knows the Giants won. If you paid attention this week, the New York Football Giants went into Minnesota, the Super Wild Card game, and beat the Minnesota Vikings in their stadium, 31-24, with an epic performance by one Daniel Jones, a great performance by many, including Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Hodgins, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. The Giants came to play. Hey, and so did the Minnesota Vikings. It was a hell of a good football game. The Giants was just a better team. And we're going to talk a lot about that game and a lot of other football news tonight. We're also going to talk about another football game coming up this Saturday night when the Giants travel down the turnpike to play the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's lots of ways to start the show, but there's only one true way to get there, and that's by bringing on the guy who says he's the expert, the NFL expert for the Hard Rock and Sports Show, and the self-acclaimed Giant hater, one Mr. Jeff Talwinski. Let's see what he's got to say as he's got the score of the Giant game. He thinks the score of the Giant game, and he doesn't. Hold on.
I never once ever called myself an expert of the NFL.
I've
one thing I will say, I couldn't even interrupt. That's a nice head you got, by the way. Did you buy that someplace, or did you fucking?
What head is that he's talking about?
Huh? Your head.
Oh, I happen to look pretty sharp this week, I think.
Who says that?
My wife said it. I happen to think so. Oh, it's okay. Well, she keeps lying to me
too, right?
Huh?
I bet your mom said something too.
My mom always says I'm the handsomest boy in town.
I know. Another lie. More lies.
Well, listen, there's lots of lies, including your picks, but we'll ignore those too.
My picks were lies. That's what I picked. What happened is they were wrong. They weren't lies.
So you were wrong.
Yes. Okay. But now I'm going to tell you something right now. I hear everything that you say about, they went up to Minnesota and they beat this.
Yeah.
They beat a team that had 11 victories by one score or less.
Okay.
Okay, which means that they could have been 11 the other way. They
But they
could have had
weren't.
11 losses. But
They
oh
weren't,
yes, they didn't.
But why didn't you pick them then? Why didn't you say, well, they're never going to Giants can never the Vikings can't beat the Giants because they had 11 games of one score.
What are you talking? I did pick the Vikings.
I know you did. So if
I was wrong.
so you can't right. So you can't come up and say, well, the Giants won because they beat a bad team. Oh, they didn't beat a bad team.
Well, they did beat a bad team. They beat a team that was almost as bad as they were.
I'm sorry. I have to beg to differ. That's not what you said last week. You said that the Vikings would crush the Giants, would kill the Giants.
Yes, I did, and I was a mistake. I was wrong. What can I tell you?
Okay.
You ever wrong before? You've been wrong plenty of times.
I'm wrong a lot. But I happened to be right last week. I picked the game 20. I picked the game 27-24, so I was pretty close.
For once, you were right. For once, one time.
No, I was right about Daniel Jones, the guy. There.
Okay, first, please explain to me how you were right about Daniel Jones.
I've said all along that Daniel Jones was the Giant quarterback, that Daniel Jones was going to be a really good NFL quarterback. And you said, and I quote, he's got to go. He's horrendous.
1 year he had so far. Not even 1 year so far. 1 year he's had. And now all of a sudden he's the second coming of Christ.
I didn't say you never heard that from me. All I said was he's a legit NFL. Right now, I'm sorry, not right now. Last weekend, he was the best quarterback in the NFL last weekend.
Slow down, son.
He was. It's not even close. The guy threw for 300 yards, ran for another 78. He threw 2 touchdowns. Should have had one rushing had it not got back for a penalty. He was 24 of 35. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Far from it. But last weekend,
that's what it sounds like you're saying to me right now.
I'm saying is last weekend on the football field, he outplayed every other quarterback in the league. That's what I'm telling you. And it's no mirage. Every other person is fun. You know what's amazing to me? I listen all week long. I love listening this week. It's Giant Talk all week long. And every single caller who calls in that says, I'm a Giant fan. Thank God for Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones. I mean, and I'm going, where were all these people? I've listened to sports radio every day of my life. And all I heard up until the last month is bashings that I don't know. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Well, I told you guys this. He is in the mold of Josh Allen, the big quarterback who can run and throw the ball. I didn't say he's Josh Allen. That's not what I said.
Please.
No, all I said was, what I said was he's in that mold.
Spreading false information.
That is the mold for Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones is made in the same mold as Josh Allen.
Absolutely. Strong arm, makes the throws, and is lethal when he runs out of the pocket. He killed. I think the last couple of games he allowed for 75 first downs on his own.
Oh, okay.
So listen, I'm just telling you what I've told you for 4 years. I think the guy's got the makings of a good quarterback. Did it take overnight like some of the other guys? No, but he finally got a good coach, and he's finally in a good system, and he played his ass off this year, and his receivers are finally catching up. His offensive line caught up, and he's played his last 2 games, the Colt game, even the Commanders game before, the Redskin game before that, and this weekend, the guy's been on fire. So, hey, let's talk about the game a little bit. I don't know if you watched it. I know you had band practice. I don't know if you got home in time to catch any of it. But the Giants put on a display. I mean, as good as the Vikings were offensively, the Giants were better, and the Giant defense was is head and shoulders over where the Vikings are, and they suck. And, Jeff, to your point, I don't disagree with you. The Vikings were the perfect matchup for the Giants. Perfect.
Well, listen.
Because their secondary sucks. They do not come after the quarterback extremely well, and they don't stop the run real well. So the Giants took advantage and played well.
So to me, it sounds as though that you're bringing up weak points that the Giants played against, and of course that they were able to capitalize on. So they're not. It wasn't like the Giants went out there and played the 85 Bears.
No, not in any stretch. Listen, we'll get to the Giant Eagle game, but
this is a sudden turnaround from all week long. You know that.
Well, again, I'm always a realistic. I said from the beginning when they were coming out to the end of the season, I wanted the Giants to play the Vikings because the Viking defense is, not even in the top 20. The Viking defense is probably 25 to 32, if you're going to go into a playoff game on the road and be successful. Now, the Giants not only were successful, but they were dominant on offense. They ran the ball extremely well. They threw the ball well. They got big first downs when they needed it. I think they had 2 or 3 fourth and ones, or 4th and 2s to keep drives alive. They had an 11 play, a 20 play, 11-minute drive. So what I was happy with is they took advantage. A bad team will let the bad team off the hook, and they didn't. And that's the difference that this Giant team did this week. But I agree with you, Jeff. This wasn't the 85 Bears, 86 Giants. It wasn't even the 49ers or the Eagle defense that you're going to face this year.
Well, I can't even say anything now. So what's the difference? I might as well just shut her down, because now all of a sudden you went from this rampaging Giant fan all week to agreeing with me, and now there's not like.
No, but see, the thing is,
feel bad for making fun of your haircut.
I'm not minimizing the Giant win. I think it was a good, even when the Giants played bad defenses like the Bears, they barely put up 20 points. It's a different Giant team right now. So right now, what you're seeing for the Giants, it's one of those runs, Jeff. And again, I don't know if it gets past this weekend or not, but there are runs in sports and football especially where a team that's not as good as everybody else. My cousin Todd Rickett just popped up. I absolutely did. I have video proof of it. So, Rick, don't even try. He's a big Eagle fan, by the way. Don't even try. I have video evidence of it.
Let me address Todd real quick, okay? Todd, I don't know how often you talk to Tommy, but I rip on Tommy several times a day, never mind a day, especially about the Giants. And he has been preaching Daniel Jones since day one. I sat next to him when the Giants drafted Daniel Jones.
True. Very true.
Hit the floor when they said the name Daniel Jones, because he did not want Daniel Jones. I started to laugh at him, and then he immediately started to embrace the pick.
No, so that's where you were wrong.
Oh, no, I was right there.
I could go back and find the video footage. I could tell you exactly what it was. I said all the way up into the draft that everybody was on Dwayne Haskins, and I said, I want the kid from Duke. And only issue I had was taking him at number 6. I wanted him to go Dexter Lawrence early, or one of the defensive linemen early, and then take the quarterback at 15. And I said on the show that night, you know what? If they feel that strongly, take him at number 6. Who am I to say anything?
Because you went just like this. And when they announced Daniel Jones, you were like, I was sitting right alongside.
I know exactly what he did. Yeah.
Your mouth hanging open. Okay, that's one thing. Then you turn around and you were like, okay, yeah, this isn't good. Okay, this is good. And I was like, you immediately embraced the pick. I will say that you did jump on board with him.
Yep, from day one.
Okay? You did say some things about that, but I don't remember them. I know that you said you're always saying something.
Yep.
But you are on board with Daniel Jones from day one. That's all I'm saying.
No problem. So
I think that you were fucking nuts. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not nuts right now. I'm not nuts right now.
Listen, right now the guy has you're just saying how everything, certain things are streaky, and basically the guy is having a streaky time right now.
No, what I'm saying right now is sometimes teams, while undermanned or not as talented, find ways to win through chemistry, through schemes, and this Giant team did that, and they played really well the last month and change of the season. And can they go into Philadelphia and win? Sure. I don't think Philly's the same team we saw in midseason. The last few weeks of the season, granted Hurts was out a couple of weeks, but I don't know. Can they come out and drop a bomb on the Giants this weekend? Absolutely. That team has got a lot of talent. And here's the problem for this weekend. I don't want to get too much. I want to keep on last weekend's games before we get to this weekend's. But the difference between this game and the last game is not that I'm scared of the Eagle offense. It's really good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I know Louis. He can't help himself. But what I am afraid of is the Eagle defense. They get to the quarterback. They get to the quarterback. They have 2 better than average, and I'll call them upper echelon corners in Slay and Bradbury. That defense can play, and that's going to be the difference for the Giants. What I'm afraid is going to happen, Jeff, and here's what I'm afraid of this weekend. Eagles get the ball. They do just like the Vikings did. Come right down the field and score a touchdown. The Giants answered the Vikings right away with a touchdown, stopped them on the next possession, and scored again. It was 14-7 Giants. This game, if the Eagles come out and get on the board quick and the Giants don't answer, and it gets up to be 14-3 in the first quarter, early second quarter, now I'm getting nervous because the Giant offense going against that defense is not going to drop 40 points. Not unless there's a ton of mistakes. So that's my fear. But right now, do I give the Giants a puncher's chance? Absolutely. I think the way they played in that last game against the Eagles with their second and third string guys showed me something. And I think this team's just playing on a different level chemistry-wise. Everybody's at the top of their game, and it might not be the best game in the whole world. You got these guys, Jeff, who are average ball players, coming from a practice squad guys, but they're all buying in and they're all playing hard. That's what I love about this team, and that's why I give them a chance.
You have to say that every single game so far in the playoffs has not been what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Came out and played the way they were expecting. Did you expect the Bengals and the Ravens to play the game that they did?
No. The Dolphin game. That was tell me. I thought the Bills would win that game 35-7. 40-2-7. That was a hell of a game.
You look at what happened with Dallas and Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
they were letting Tom Brady throw the ball all over the place, but they were letting him have that.
Oh, sure. No, that game was out of hand. It was 24-0 at that. It was 24-0 at that point. Yeah,
they knew. But you know what? I got to admit, when he scored the touchdown, I was like, this motherfucker is going to come back. I was so pissed. Not that I want Dallas to win.
No, but yeah.
I don't want Dallas to win. And I think that we have 2 Super Bowl quality matchups this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with you. I think that the Dallas Niner game, if Dak plays the way he did last weekend, that's a great game to watch. And of course, on the other side, I agree with you there. I think Bills and the Bengals, and I'll tell you what, that Bengal team, the way the Bills are playing, not great right now. Don't be shocked if the Bengals go up there and they win that game.
Listen, I underestimated the Bengals.
Yeah, we both did this year. We both did.
I didn't think they didn't come out of the gate particularly sharp. They're coming on strong right now at this point in time. I think that they have a chance if they play hard. And you're right. Buffalo seems to have a few chinks in the armor.
Yeah.
Kansas City is still the all favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would say, but and the only reason why the Niners aren't there is because of the quarterback, because everybody's waiting for the wheels to fall off, and they may never fall off.
This kid ain't playing like the wheels are going to come off.
I agree. But everybody's expecting it because it can't possibly happen, but it's happening, and think of all the weapons: Ayuk, McCaffrey, Samuel. I mean, that team, Kittle. I mean, that team is really playing great football right now.
You know what problem I have with that team?
What?
They've won 10 in a row.
You think it's coming, right?
Yeah, I think that you want to talk about the wheels falling off. I think a team like that's 10-0 that has some injuries and everything else, has a rookie quarterback going for themselves. I think that's the kind of team that the wheels fall off.
Yeah, again, I'm not disagreeing. Again, I've been waiting I watched him throw the ball. When he sets his feet, throws the ball properly, he throws the ball well. But think about it. He's first off, he's throwing a lot of short passes. He's getting the ball out quick. When he gets in trouble is when he forces himself out to his left and he tries to spin, turn, and throw the ball down the field. And he threw up a couple of Hail Marys that should have been picked and could have been picked and didn't get picked. But right now, this should be a really good game if the Cowboys and Dak Prescott play like they did on Monday night. If they go back to the Dak they've been at the end of the season, that game will be over early and will be a joke. But you're right. Those are 2 really good Super Bowl type matchups. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's why when we talked last week, I would love to advocate. I mean, not that we would be able to do much about it anyway, but I would love to see what they would do if they were to reseed the teams after each round and don't keep it AFC versus NFC. It's called the Super Bowl for a reason. Not the NFL championship or whatever. Name it the Super Bowl and put in the 2 best teams, man, because you could end up getting Cincinnati and Kansas City, or Cincinnati and Buffalo, or even the Niners and Dallas in there as the Super Bowl. I think that would be a way better game than some of the games that we could. Could you imagine the AFC and Jacksonville slips in? Do you really want that?
Yeah, listen, look at last year. I mean, you tell me you wouldn't want to see that Kansas City Buffalo game in the Super Bowl?
Of course.
That would have been everybody would have walked out of saying that was the best Super Bowl you ever saw.
Of course.
So I don't think they'll ever do it, but it's really, last week I wanted to argue the point. And I told you I couldn't argue it. I couldn't find a way to tell you that it was a dumb idea or you couldn't do it. And, again, it'll probably never get done because this is the way they've been doing it for 50 something years, but it's not a dumb idea.
It's never going to happen that way.
Yeah.
It's something to think like, could it happen? I think it would be really cool if it did.
Yeah. I think what would have to happen is you'd have to have a string of really bad Super Bowls, where, the team in one conference got in that really shouldn't have gotten there. I think that's where, let's say like last year, those two teams got knocked out, Buffalo and Kansas City, and we wound up with like Kansas City and, the Vikings, and the Vikings were a bad team and, got lucky along the way and got the Super Bowl and got beat by 50 points a couple years in a row. It's the only way they would consider something like that, but I don't think you'll ever see it.
There are teams every year that people want to see get to the Super Bowl, and there are teams every year that are good teams that people don't want to see get to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Dallas is probably always a fan favorite to get into the Super Bowl.
And the networks want it, that's for sure.
Yeah. The 49ers.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you have wanted to see Tom Brady and the Buccaneers get into the Super Bowl this year?
Not the way they play, no. And there's your point. That would be the team that they got there from the NFC. You get to the game, you go, oh, this is going to be bad.
This is going to be a rough couple hours. This is the last football that I get to see between now and.
Yeah, that's one of you sitting going, when's the USFL starting again? Is the XFL coming back soon? Yeah, I agree. But so that's where it eliminates that by again, you'd probably be down to one of three teams, and they're all AFC teams. Now, let's see how the Eagles play this week. Let's see if Dallas plays at that level they did the other night. Obviously, the 49ers, if they keep it up. So, there are some good matchups this year if it gets there. I mean, the way the 49ers are playing with the young kid, if they got there against Mahomes or the Bills or even the Bengals. And I tell you what, to me right now, I know you're going to tell me it's the Chiefs, and I get it. I like the Bengals more than I like anybody.
Well, listen.
I know they didn't play great the other night, but I love the way that team plays.
They're not playing bad, and they seem to be picking up their pace a little bit. Me personally, I sold the Chiefs short a lot in the beginning of the season, and now they're coming on.
Well, we both did because, you said the Chiefs or the Bengals?
The Bengals.
Yeah, you said Chiefs. No, so did I. I thought they didn't fix the offensive line. The kid was still getting his head handed to them. They were struggling out of the gate. But, the new NFL, Jeff, because of the way they have the offseason and, nobody plays in the preseason games and nobody hits in camp, to me, it's a month and change before these teams really get going. And you hope you stick around.
Of course. Yeah. That's hard to deny that fact either. It's a changed league without a doubt. But, teams like Cincinnati took a lot of time to come out of the gate. They weren't out there playing the best football. And, I don't remember exactly what their record was early, but I remember thinking like this is the team that made the Super Bowl. They certainly don't seem like they're going to go back to the Super Bowl this year.
No, I agree. And hey, Adam, welcome aboard. Since I gave up on the Browns back in the 90s, I had to hold. Okay, good, man. And the Black Sox Squad guys are all over the Bengals. Listen, it should be a really good football game this weekend. I think the Bengals have a chip on their shoulder, because they have to go to Buffalo. They, had they played the game or rescheduled it, there's a half a chance that they could have wound up with the number 2 seed or even the number 1 seed and been hosting a game at this point instead of going on the road. But I tell you what, I just don't like the way the Buffalo Bills have played this year. Especially last week's game. Miami should never. I mean, the amount of mistakes Miami's coaching staff made in that game with timeouts, bad play calls, not knowing it was 4th and 1, just terrible, terrible, terrible. And they hung around and with Skylar Thompson, they hung around enough where that game was hairy for a long time. So I don't love the way Buffalo's played at all this year. They had a couple rough games with the Jets. I will tell you, people might be surprised who I'm picking in that game come pick time.
The Buffalo Bengals game.
Yeah. I'm telling
you. You're right. They weren't the team they were last year.
No.
And a lot of people elevated them to the next level. But here's the thing. As though they didn't take the next step forward. Okay. Yep. I think that's obvious. You have to say the Chiefs took a step back. We're losing Tyreek Hill, and they just don't seem to be the same team, but they still seem to be the best team in the AFC and possibly the best team in the NFL right now at this point in time.
Yeah. I'm just reading the text from Todd. He's trying to be a wise ass. Yeah, listen, I thought the Chiefs, after losing that game to the Bengals last year, after the Chiefs lost to the Bengals last year, and they lost Tyreek Hill, I thought for sure they were taking a step back and they would lose the division. Now, that division took a major step back this year, right? So the Broncos were terrible. The Raiders didn't catch anything till toward the end of the year. They were terrible, and of course the Chargers had a mediocre season. They should have been much better. So I still don't know what you're going to see in the Chiefs come playoff time. I think the Buffalo Bills. I say it every week. Every team has a shelf life. After a certain amount of time, teams all start to figure you out, and you lose a couple pieces. And you're just not as good, even though the bulk of the players are still there, you're just not as good as you were last year. And I thought last year was the Buffalo Bills' year to win it all. I thought they were the best team. I don't feel that way this year.
I mean, I don't think that they're the best team in the NFL this year, right now.
No, not at all. I agree with you, yeah.
I think that they're better than the NFC teams.
I would agree with that.
Okay?
Yeah.
And, I mean, can they beat Buffalo? Beat Kansas City? Time will tell if they even meet up. Who knows?
Yep.
But you know what? I don't see Kansas City losing to Jacksonville.
Well, again, be careful of Jacksonville right now. I watched that game last week. So here's what I did. I placed a 5-team parlay bet last week. I took all money line, which means straight up, no points, no point spread. And I took the Jaguars, the Giants. I took Jaguars, Giants, the Bills, and the Bengals, and the Tampa Bay Bucks. So the very first game is the Jacksonville game. My wife and I went out. We came home. We had watched the early game. What was the early game on Saturday last week? Bills Dolphins. So we came. Was it Bills Dolphins?
Might have been Jacksonville, no?
No, Jacksonville was the night game. So anyway, I watched the night game. And that was the 4:30 game. Yeah, that was. I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever it was. I didn't turn the Charger game on until halftime. And when I turned it on, it was 27-0, and I was going to shut it off. And I said, my wife was sleeping. I said, let me just watch the game. I was doing some work on the computer, and I'm watching 27-6. I'm watching 27-14. I'm watching, and all of a sudden they're back in the game, and it's 30. 21. It's 30-20. And San Diego scores a touchdown. It's 30-26. No, I'm sorry, change that. Because it was 30-27. And they could have went for one to tie the game. They went for two. It was 30-26. That's it. It was 30-26. It was 30-20. They scored a 6. So they could have went for 7, went for the extra point, and tied, and then been in place to tie the game with a field goal. Decided to go for 2. So it's 7 minutes left in the game. They're down 4 points, and they went for 2, and they got it. And now it's 30-28. Sure enough, they stopped them. They stopped the Chargers. They go down, kick the field goal, and they win the game 31-30. Great football game. If you're watching games now, of course, if you're a San Diego fan, it's not. They weren't great in the second half, but it was a good football game. But it's that started off my run, and I wound up winning my bet. Even though I had Tampa, I cashed out before the game, and I still won some money on
Oh,
that.
nice.
So, and then I took that money, put it onto something else, and won another $350. So it was a really great.
How much? 350
Yeah, my second bet was 350.
for you.
Yeah, it was like a $600 and something weekend. So it was nice.
Good, nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So it's pretty good. But anyway, so there was some weird games last weekend, and right now, Jeff, it's hard to pick who the best teams are. We're still struggling to figure out who's playing the best, who is the best. We're going to see a lot this weekend with Philly and with Kansas City getting back in the mix.
Yeah.
So
let's see what happens. I don't think that. I don't. I'd like to see Dallas advance. To be honest with you,
Okay.
I really would. But I like the 49ers too. I always just like the 49ers. It would just be nice to see a different team make it a little further this year. And listen, the Brock Purdy story is one to watch.
Sure.
The Dak Prescott story is one to watch. Simply,
it's an interesting one because it's an interesting one.
Last year,
yeah,
the injury and everything. Ezekiel Elliott, is he still an elite back or is he fading out?
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different things. Joe Burrow, is Joe Burrow advanced his game at all?
Yeah.
The Chiefs, do they really miss Tyreek Hill?
Getting back to that game, the Chiefs, be careful of Jaguars. They're playing really good football. Trevor Lawrence, who I thought was going to be a bust based on some early play and some stuff I watched and read, he really has turned it on. And I had that game figured. I knew they were going to win that game. I just did. I bet it, and I thought they would win it. But
against the Chargers,
I got it. But
the Chargers have been iffy all year long. You know that because we had Justin Herbert as our quarterback.
No.
So it's not like they've been doing anything special.
I got it. But if anybody would have told you before that, 2 weeks ago, and said this was going to be the first game, this is going to be one of the first wild card game, Chargers Jaguars, you'd have picked the Chargers. Most people did.
I would have
thought. And you did, and most people would have said it was a bad game, and it really wasn't a bad game. And the Jaguars have really turned the corner. Do I think they're going to beat the Chiefs this week? I don't. I don't think they have enough weapons or enough experience to do it. But I'll tell you what, I'll be shocked. I won't be shocked if in the fourth quarter this is still a relatively close football game. I won't be shocked.
Is it that the Jacksonville Jaguars could overtake the Kansas City Chiefs, or is it the Kansas City Chiefs play a subpar game and give an opening to the Jacksonville Jaguars? You got to look at it that way.
Well, you have to watch the way it plays. So, again, how do you figure it? So let's say this. Let's say the Chiefs play a subpar game. Was it because of their lack of ability or their fading ability, or was it because the Jaguars played well? It's hard to tell. All you can look at it is how did the Jaguars do? How did they finish the game? What was the score? And there's a million ways to break it down and look at it. All I'll say is I don't expect the Jaguars to go out there and play like they were overwhelmed. This could be a very close game through three quarters, and then Kansas City pull away late. But I expect this game to be close.
Oh, listen, time will tell once it starts. I don't know if I could say that it's going to be close.
Yeah.
That I don't know if it's going to be close, but I do think that Kansas City is not going to be too worried about Jacksonville. I think they're I think they'd be more worried, more concerned about the Bengals, the Bills, getting in the Super Bowl against the Cowboys or the 49ers. I don't think that they're very worried about Trevor Lawrence.
You're probably right, but don't overlook what's in front of you. That's what happened last year. Don't forget, they thought they were going to the Super Bowl playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati came storming back to win that game to go there. So you can't look past it. But again, do I expect the Chiefs to win?
I'm not saying to look past them. I'm saying this. Don't forget, you're talking about a team that didn't win their division until the last week, so second to last week of the season. This isn't a team that was 14-1 at some point in time, and then they lost 2 in a row to end the season. You're talking about a team that didn't get into the playoffs until the end of the season, and they slipped in. What was it? The last week they slipped in, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they're still sitting there themselves, being like, "Holy shit, how do we do this? Where are we? We're here now." But it'll be interesting to see how they play. And you want to talk about a team that has nothing to lose, I would say that that's definitely the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have nothing to lose.
Well, I was just going to add, I got it on my list, and I'm just going to say the same thing to you. So, do we put the Jaguars and the Giants in the same category as house money? Like, no, neither team was supposed to get here this year. Not that we have nobody picked, was neither one of them were picked by most people to win the first round games, and they're here. So at this point, win or lose, do we say, hey, it was house money and they had a great season? Or if they go out there and lose close games, is it disappointing now?
Listen, they're both in a very similar situation.
Exactly. That's why I bring it up.
But I just think that the Giants are a few steps ahead.
Of the Jaguars?
Of the Jaguars, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I was to rank them, I would definitely rank the remaining playoff teams.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rank neither one of them very high, but the Giants would definitely be ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, I think at this point, if you were doing power rankings for the 8 teams that are left, I would have to say that the Giants and the Jaguars would probably be the last 2 ranked. I think the Cowboys would be right in front of that, but short of that, yeah, I wouldn't argue that these are 2 teams that barely 9-win seasons. Didn't win their division. I think the Jaguars wound up winning their division in the last game.
The Jaguars got in. They won their division. The Giants, I don't want to say that the Giants, the only reason that the Giants are in is because the NFC is a weak team, weak division. But I think that has a little something to do with it. I don't think there was another team that stepped up. The Giants, I got to admit, they've definitely took a step forward this year in this season. But the thing is, for me, okay, I just can't put anything into them simply because Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are both players that have injury histories, and you have to be extremely careful with them because you just don't know what could happen at any given time as far as that goes. And if one of them gets hurt, that's pretty much it for their season.
Yeah, but you can say that about it. Look what happened to the Eagles. They were flying high. Hurts gets hurt. They lose 2 games, and they nearly lose to the Giants' second and third teams when he comes back. So that's any team, Jeff. You take, now again, here's what I'll say. I'll say the 49ers are a little different. They lose their quarterback. They lost 2 quarterbacks, and they're still riding high with their third stringer. So I don't know how they're doing that up there, but you're right. But you have to just look at it. You take a big piece of that puzzle out of there, and that's what happens. But I will tell you, Saquon Barkley will probably get franchise tagged. I would be surprised if they gave him a long-term deal right now. But I think Daniel Jones is going to get a 4-year, probably $25 to $30 million a year deal based on what he's done this year and these playoffs. So short of getting hurt Saturday night, I think the Giants have said, hey, this is our guy. Who else are we going to get? We're not going to draft anybody. And who are we going to get in free agency? Daniel Jones will get but it won't be, it's not going to be one of these, $230 million fully guaranteed deals. He'll get a nice signing bonus. So he pushes the money back a little bit. But Jones is going to get a good deal. It would not surprise me if Barkley got played on the franchise tag next year.
Anything is possible, and we're going to find that out very shortly.
Yep.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I got to say something.
Good.
I'm already surveying everything and keeping a very close eye on what's going to happen very shortly in the NFL.
Okay.
And one of the things, I'm in one group on Facebook, and I cannot believe the shit that I am hearing and reading.
Okay. I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
Is the initials LJ?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Heading to the Jets.
Yeah, I've seen that all week long. Tiki Barber announced that this week on his show.
And I
don't blame you. I have to tell you, I'm going to start by saying this. First off, the guys never had success in the playoffs. He plays the good teams. They figure him out. The other thing is, if you're Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore or one of those receivers, think about this. One of his best friends begged off the team to be traded to play with Kyler Murray to get away from Lamar Jackson and the fact that he does not throw enough to his receivers.
All right, but once again, like I always say to you, we got to always explore the flip side of that. Okay. And here's the flip side that I've been reading about. And people brought that up.
Okay.
People brought that up, but they also said, which is true, that Lamar Jackson never really had a complement of receivers that he may have on the New York Jets.
Agreed.
And him throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore would be more than he has now in Baltimore.
Okay.
Now, I still, 2 seasons in a row that I know of that he didn't finish the season as a starter because of injuries. And I think there's been 3 seasons altogether that he's been injured in, and he didn't really play much near the end of the season. I think his first year in the NFL, things went a little south near the end of the season when he got into playoffs.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. And I just would not want him because he doesn't look like he's a big guy. So it's not like, you're talking he's like a Ben Roethlisberger big or a Cam Newton big that he could have taken a couple hits. He looks like he's tall and lean. And, the guy's an incredible athlete, but incredible athletes get hurt too. And I wouldn't want to see him get crushed. I just wouldn't want to see it.
Well, I think, go ahead. Finish your thought. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I myself would not want him. Believe it or not, a lot of the quarterbacks that people have linked to the Jets, I even seen reports where Aaron Rodgers would be a great fit here.
Well, they're talking that because they're interviewing Nathaniel Hackett, who was his offensive coordinator in Green Bay. So they're thinking they bring him in and he gets Rodgers, but that didn't work in Denver when they hired him as the coach out there. So,
but there was that rumor going on. It seemed solid because some girl he was involved with was moving out there or something, and it was a couple different rumors at the time.
Yeah, you just got to remember he's got $62 million. I think it's 62 or 68 million, something 58 or 62 million coming to him. No, 58 coming to him next year, guaranteed money. So somebody has to take on that salary next year because that's guaranteed money if they were to trade him. They own him next year. He gets a signing bonus like in March or something. So he ain't going anywhere unless he wants to, because he'd have to go someplace and then take like a second or third deal, take two or three more years on there to spread that money out. And who's gonna want to do that? So, you're right. I don't think it's him. I think there's a chance Garoppolo could come here. I think there's a chance that Carr could come here. It seems really hot that Lamar Jackson. And here's the problem with Jackson. Jackson's telling Baltimore that he wants better than Deshaun Watson's deal.
Yeah, well.
So do you want to give him, let's say Deshaun Watson got 5 years, 250. Are you going to want to give him 6 years, 280 guaranteed money?
No, of course not.
Right. So while I agree with you, he's got better weapons here. He's got a team that's ready to make the playoffs in a division that they could probably step right into.
Yeah, but you know what, Tom? He would be leaving a team that made the playoffs.
Yeah, but they were in a shit division. Other than the Bengals, and think about it, the South was terrible, right? With the Jaguars winning that division and the Tennessee Titans and all of that, and the North wasn't much better. The Steelers came around a little at the end. The Browns were bad. The Ravens were okay team, but the Jets are a better team than the Ravens.
I don't know about that. The Ravens played a fucking playoff game. That's one thing. Second of all, you got to think of it this way. You're talking about the Jets, and I'm only being real, okay?
Yeah.
Talking about a team that finished 4th in their division. The only thing I can say about them is, and there was reading about this online someplace. Are the Jets an attractive place to come? Right now, they don't have a quarterback, and nobody knows their situation. Salah keeps running around saying that he's going to fix Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Is this what you really want to hear? Is this, you know what I mean?
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem right now. There was a guy, Darrell Bevel, who used to be the Seahawks coordinator. He was the coordinator in that Super Bowl where they threw the ball instead of running Marshawn Lynch to beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
He's very well respected. He turned down an offer to interview for the Jets. He wouldn't even interview, let alone even hear an offer. Tyreek Hill, didn't want to come in to play this year. But here's the problem right now. Everybody in the league has seen the way Now, Coach Robert Salah has done a nice job bringing the team together. He's changed the defense around. It went from worst last year to one of the top 10 this year, maybe top 5 at some points. The problem is they've seen the way the locker room got handled with that whole Mike White thing. They still don't have a quarterback. They might not have a quarterback if they think about sticking around, and he's on the hot seat. So no coordinator who's any good wants to come here, take a job that he may be out of in a year, as opposed to going someplace where it's a stable environment. So he's going to get somebody. It just might not be, a guy at the top of the list.
Well, there's already a couple guys that withdrew their names from consideration. But as far as being at the top of the list, I got to be honest with you. I think that there's more people that are going to be looking to get here or would consider coming here simply because of the defense and because of some of the weapons. Could you imagine getting a quarterback, right? Think of some of the quarterbacks that you're talking about.
Okay.
Let's say Aaron Rodgers came here.
Right.
Okay. I think it's highly unlikely, but let's say Aaron Rodgers came here. Okay. With Garrett Wilson, that guy could end up being a 1,500-yard receiver.
I agree. But here's the problem. You have to solve that problem soon because no coordinator is going to want to come here with no coordinator. Nobody's going to want to come here, put their ass on the line, because if the Jets, if the coach and the general manager can't find a better piece and they have to turn to Zach Wilson, no coordinator is going to want to put their ass on the line for that. So
there's no way Zach Wilson is on the center for the Jets.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying so they have to. I think if they're going to hire a coordinator first, but the problem right now is no coordinator who has an opportunity to go someplace else with an established quarterback. So I'm not telling you they'll go anywhere, but if Carr or somebody else winds up somewhere else or in a better spot or with a coach who's more established, that's going to be a hard seat to fill right now. And you might take a guy who's second or third on the list. And then then it comes down to who do you get to play quarterback. And that's the big question for the Jets. They have a lot of the pieces. We could pick on it. They still need a tight end. We could still pick on they can use another linebacker. This stuff, they still have to fix the offensive line totally. But they, as receivers go, running backs go, a defense goes. I mean, Sauce, that's a tough team, and they have some big pieces. They're just going to have to fill in the blanks. And but I don't think it's the big ticket you think until the quarterback's in spot.
No, of course.
And if they get Lamar Jackson, I think a lot of people will flock here for that. Even though I wouldn't want it. If I was the Jets, I wouldn't want to pay the price, and I don't think he's good enough.
No, I agree. I wouldn't want it either, but I do think that there's a lot more attractive pieces. They have some position players for offense. Breece Hall with a running game. There's too many things I'm thinking of at one time. Right. One thing you got to say, if Breece Hall was playing at the end of the year, I think the Jets would have made the playoffs.
I'm not doubting it. The kid came out of I didn't expect it, and the kid played great. And the problem I have right now is it's probably going to be it's going to be 2024 before he's really back to where he was before the injury. I'll be surprised if he hits the ground running. Most running backs take an extra year. That's a 1-year injury. Then you got to get back into football shape, and then you got to get used to putting that foot down and taking that hit on the knee, and not being a little trepid on that. So to me, I don't expect big things from him next year. But if he stayed healthy next year, I think the following year he'd be back to his form, and it's a good running back. I'm not saying he won't be good next year when he gets out there. I don't think he'll be the guy he was before he got hurt.
Oh, listen, when did he get hurt? In October sometime.
It was either October or very early November. So you got to assume he won't get back on the field till then next year.
I think it was October that he got hurt. Because he went, 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, you're probably right. So it probably was more like October. I won't argue that. Yeah.
But let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Hard Rocket Sports. It's Jeff Towinski, Tom Florio here every Thursday night, 7 to 9:30, or until we run out of things to talk about. So we're glad to have you all here. Hey, guys, remember our dear friends. I did put up a post today. I got started a little late, and I had to help my dad with a phone problem. So I don't know if he's joining us or not. But do remember our dear buddies from Hemp Wizard, Beard Care Company. Those guys are amazing. Not only amazing people with the fundraising and everything else, they have a great product and a great product line that's personally endorsed by the fuzzy man across from me, who uses their product. And of course, remember that they have a line of Sunday Audible. That's right. Our weekend show, the Sunday Audible fragrance. I believe that's peach and leather. And what's the last one, Jeff? What's the last? Vanilla?
Vanilla, peach, and leather.
Yep. And you can go to hempwizard.net for all your beard care products. And Jeff, what's the one you like to use best?
Cushman's.
You got your Cushman's there?
I don't have the oil up here, but this is the cleanser. And I love it. I got to order more. I really do. Well, it's been a while since I ordered, but tomorrow's payday. I may end up having to order a couple gallons of this.
Well, make sure, if you have a friend or a family member or somebody's birthday's coming up, you got the Valentine's Day coming up there, the skincare products. I bought the strawberry switchblade hand lotion for my wife. She absolutely loves it. And, you got all these other products. So if you got a family member with a nice beard like Jeff, or maybe they're starting to get there, or Aunt Edna's got the little bit of the growth. We've talked about Aunt Edna.
One thing you got to be careful about in ordering Hemp Wizard products, no matter whether it's the oil or the cleanser, you got to be careful that the people you're buying it for are musicians.
Okay.
We have been losing them at a pretty quick rate so far this year.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. David Crosby has sailed on.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one.
Yeah. The founder of the Yardbirds and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Crosby is gone. And just, well, not really Nash. Somebody else founded him.
Gotcha.
Is gone at 81 years old. This is a guy that had at least one liver transplant, maybe two, and I think a pretty serious crack habit at one point in time.
Yeah, at some point, I don't know if it was the 70s or 80s, it seemed like every week he woke up in some alley with, covered in something.
Well, anything. I use ammonia on my nuts, Lou. I like that tingly feeling that only I could get from a good hard degreaser.
And he means it. But yes, if you have some beard care or skincare product needs, please check out our friends at hempwizard.net. Joe Casano and Mike Weissman, two great guys who make a hell of a product, and they get their stuff out to you fast. So make sure. I think its code is Nitro 30 or 30 Nitro. But check them out. Go to hempwizard.net and tell them the boys at the Hard Rock and Sports Show sent you.
Man,
what's the matter?
Fucking week. I'm fucking tired. I hate it. I'm not even going to work tomorrow.
Oh yeah, really?
8 hours overtime so I can stay home and relax.
Nice. I tomorrow's my last day before my vacation. I am on vacation.
Next Thursday we're not on.
We're off next Thursday night. Yep, we're off next Thursday. So we might have to do an emergency show on Friday night or Monday night if the Giants when the Giants win this week. But we'll get more than that. Okay, guys, stick around. We got to talk a little bit about. We got a little bit of social politics. A certain hockey player. Has been ridiculed for not wearing a rainbow jersey for a LGBTQ night. I think they call it Pride Night, and then a whole game with taped hockey sticks and rainbows on the jerseys and
tape on the hockey sticks.
Yes, and the guy, and I'm not a fan of the Flyers, but I got to tell the guy for sticking up. And there was also a soccer player, female soccer player from University of Virginia Tech, who put out a story in the Post this week that a few years back, she was when COVID, the George Floyd movement started, her team kind of turned, and they were plotting a "Let's Kneel" for the anthem to honor Black Lives Matter, and she refused. And she was ridiculed, and basically the coach forced her from the team. And we will talk a little bit about that and her successful bid to sue them. So we'll get to a little bit of that. We'll do a little more football. Then we'll go do a little of that. We got a little bit of music. And then we'll end the show by talking about the Giants and the Eagles this Saturday night. I invited Jeff and his lovely wife over this week if they'd like to come and have some wings and pizza. We're ordering a whole, even though I can't eat any pizza or anything else. I'm been dieting for 2 weeks.
Why?
Because I need to get in shape, man. I want to hang around a while.
Oh boy.
So I'm.
All right. Listen, I wish you the best, and I hope that you achieve your goals.
Oh,
But
2 weeks in, 2 weeks.
healthy people die too,
2 weeks in, 19 pounds.
Good for you. That's what you lost.
That's what I lost so far, 19 pounds in 15 days.
Good for you, man.
I eat about 4 ounces of food a day.
Yeah, see, I would never do that. I would rather be fat and take a chance at dying.
Yeah, no, I'm going. I went to the extreme diet. It actually is pretty good. I have to tell you. I tell you one thing. So I thought when I did this, it's a whole big thing. You kind of do a DNA testing, and they find out what's wrong inside your body. My adrenal glands were slow. This was slow. They give you these nutrients. They give you these hormone things to kind of speed up and kind of regulate your body. And I tell you, it works. That's all I can tell you. But you eat next to nothing, but you're not really hungry. But you get cravings.
What did you? How do they do these tests? How do these amenities?
I had to send them in a swab of saliva and a speck of hair.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like you heard a glove snap and
no. I was not penetrated in any sort of way. At least in a good way, at least.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. So so they put you on this regulated diet. I eat twice a day, 4 to 5 ounces of protein and a bunch of veggies twice a day, and a piece of fruit twice a day. That's it. It's 600 to 700 calories a day.
So, man.
But I'm not hungry. I have to tell you the truth. Today was probably the first day I actually said, man, I freaking starving.
I eat that many calories on a fucking forkful.
Listen. So, and that's why I ballooned to where I was. So anyway, it's gone really well, and I'm feeling much better. My snoring has stopped. I just feel so much better about things. But anyway, I'm having my parents over. We're ordering coal-fired wings. I can't eat anything that's cooked in oil or butter, so I get coal-fired wings. And
coal-fired wings,
from Anthony's. They're delicious. Oh, the best wings you're ever going to eat.
All right.
And pizzas. So if you and your lovely wife want to come out and watch part of one of the games, you're more than welcome to come out Saturday night. I
would love to, but by the time we have a couple things going on Saturday, we have somebody coming over to do some work at the house. We're having a banister. We've been having a banister installed in the house since September.
Oh, wow. It's a hell of a banister.
Well, it's about 8 foot long.
Okay.
And we're on our third guy that we came.
So you get 2 foot of banister a month. Pretty decent average.
We still have no banister up as of yet.
Oh, wow.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, the guy came over, was going to extend the wall, okay, to do something. Then we looked at it, talked about it, figured it out. And he's like, well, you don't have to extend the wall. So I'm like, okay, fine. That's fine with me. So we bypassed that. And then last week he came, and what we did was he stained some of the stuff. And we gave it a week to dry when it needed just a couple of days, if that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm hoping that tomorrow, by the time he's done, that the banister is up and at least partially the way up. Because if it's not, and the next time he comes, I'm going to tell him, I just locked the door, and you're only getting out when I let you out. Okay? So I'm going to put a fucking 2x4, and you're not leaving until this shit is, somewhat up. I mean, let's go. Let's do this. So I'm going to wait and see what happens. But as of right now, I can't even say it's coming along. It's a different color than when it ended up in the house. But I've owned it since November.
Wow.
And
Wow. That's a hell of a banister. Well, I hope it works out right. But again, if anything changes, you and your wife are more than welcome.
Thank you.
But I will be probably watching the game with just me and my wife by the time everybody leaves, because there's no way my parents will be here. My mom, at least, would be here till 8:30 or so when the Giant game starts. Should be some great football. I'll give you the schedule for the weekend. Saturday, Jags and the Chiefs, Saturday, 4:30 on NBC. The Giants and the Eagles, Saturday night, 8:30 at Fox. Bengals, Bills, Sunday, 3 o'clock, CBS. And the Cowboys and the Niners, Sunday at 6:30. Jeff, of all 4 games I just mentioned, what's the premier game? Bengals. It's got to be Bengals Bills, no?
Definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah. So to me, that should be the prime. That should be the prime time game. Like that should not be Sunday at 3 o'clock. That should either be the Saturday night 8:30 like it was last year, because that's when we watched that game. Was a Saturday night at 8:30, or the Sunday night at 6:30 game. That should be the, everybody's home, everybody's watching game of the week. That realistically should be the best game of the weekend.
You would like to think, but you know what, Tom? These are all geared towards making the money.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's all about the timing and the money that it's a shame.
Yep, nope. Hang in there, guys. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to come back to a lot more football. I want to sneak in a little bit of music, but I want to first get to the story that I spoke about. Jeff sent it to me this week. Anytime he sends me a story and says pencil it in, I got to get it in the show. And I think this is one that we like to get on this show because we like to throw a little bit of the cold water on the woke. We love to throw some shade at the politically correct. And we love to talk about reverse bias. And Jeff, I think this story, what's the kid's name? Ivan Prokhorov, Prokhorov, the defenseman from the Flyers, is reverse biased. And I'm going to let you handle it, and then we'll kind of talk about it.
Well, it certainly seems as though that the Philadelphia Flyers, we're going to wear an alternative jersey to the warm-ups.
Yes.
That included LBG, whatever. I don't even know what these
LBGTQ, yep.
Yeah, something. That represented that and everything. And it was rainbow colored. And he said that it went against his beliefs and his religious affiliation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most sexual, how can I put this? Most unconventional sexual
nice
attractions go against just about every religion. So I've never actually heard a religion say that, man should lay with man, or man should lay with woman who thinks she's a man but wants to be known as a woman because she is a woman but likes men but can't be because she's a lesbian and wants a sex change so that she could be with men and stuff like that. But they're the sick, twisted shit. So anyway, he declined to wear this and declined to participate. And they had sticks with rainbow tape on them and everything else. And he used he said he was against it, or that he did not believe in it, and was against his religion. My question is this: is if we're going to recognize the LBGTQ, what the fuck else it is, on and give them a special night, what night is straight pride, and when do we get to celebrate that? When do we get to celebrate a man and a woman and a child, a son or a daughter? When do we get to not have to watch TV on any commercial, and now it's being thrust into sporting events where we may see interracial homosexual couples and just couples that, like, how did they come up with this pairing? Like there was a TV commercial for people that were going away to a resort, and there were two couples, a white couple, or where they weren't white. It was a white guy and a black girl, and a black guy and a white girl, and they were clearly married or couples together, and they have to cover all bases, it seems. And this was their pitch that happens on TV. Mm-hmm. They're ramming all of this stuff down our throats, and I just don't see the point of it. If whatever you want to do, whatever kind of relationship you have, is your business, but how come my relationship and your relationship is not featured in sporting events or TV or commercials anymore? Like, I just don't understand it. If it's conventional, it's not allowed, and we're wrong for feeling that way, it seems. I just think that it's, unfair and not right to everything. I mean, these other people are getting special nights on a hockey game. What's next? Do we paint the fences in Yankee Stadium rainbow so that they could do a rainbow night or a rainbow doubleheader at the stadium? Like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Here's the and Louis got a nice little thing up there. Here's what I don't understand.
That's the case, man.
Here's my problem with it, Lou. Jeff, is the people who are having these nights or these groups, and they're saying, "Hey, you have to accept us. You have to, we're people too, and you have to be tolerant of us, and you have to accept us," are the least accepting of anybody who don't accept them, and that's the problem. So, you know, you don't like the fact that he doesn't believe in what you stand for, yet you're mad at him for not believing what you stand for. So if you're asking people to be tolerant and respectful of your lifestyle, wishes, thoughts, dreams, great, but then be the same of others. I don't have to agree with everything people do, but I respect it. And if I go to a restaurant or bar and something goes on in that bar that I don't enjoy or I don't like, I don't say shut the bar down. I say I'm going to go someplace else. I respect that you do your business. I respect that what you do. That it's it. What people do in their bedrooms, but I don't understand why we have to have night, gay pride night, or Black Lives Matter night. At this point, everybody wants everything to be normal, yet we highlight the fact that it's not normal. And
Well,
I don't mean it from that it's not normal to be gay or any of that. I'm just meaning that you're saying you're highlighting that it's not normal and you're making a big deal out of it. I don't understand the theory.
yeah, it's insane because it's like, one, I get to celebrate the way that I feel. Two, if you don't agree with the way that I feel, you're wrong. Three, if you
Yeah.
don't acknowledge me for feeling the way that I do, you're wrong, and you're spreading hate, and you're not a nice person. It's just like, it's unfucking believable. Stop the bullshit, man. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
And
like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
yeah, and the sad part of it is, besides that social media trolls, the media's got to, the media, instead of going to say, hey, listen, it's Pride Night, why won't you wear a jersey? Well, my religious beliefs don't really allow for me to do that. And saying, all right, we can respect that. Hey, in the game tonight, why didn't you make the pass? Or it becomes like he's the worst human being alive because he doesn't believe in it. Hey, I'm sorry, I just don't. That's the problem. Is the whole left and anybody who's on the left, God bless you, but you're the least tolerant people in the entire world. For all you say about conservatives or people on the right or however you want to put people, there's a lot more people on this side tolerant. Most people that I know who have conservative beliefs, whether you're Republican, liberal, Republican independent, or a Democrat, if you're conservative, you are usually way more tolerant. You might not enjoy what those people do. You may not want to see it, but you probably don't care that they do it. Just go live your life. It's the other side of the fence, Jeff. The people on the other side, if you don't buy into every single thing that they say and do, you are a monster and don't deserve to walk the earth.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, man. That's no bullshit right there. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Like, you have to agree with them, and it's their way or no way. They are trying to outdo and get rid of people that have standard beliefs, I guess is the best way to put it.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to watch a TV. Like, there was a commercial on TV. I forget what it was for. It was I think it was some AIDS drug. Okay. And they were talking about, like, how this drug makes AIDS undetectable.
Yeah.
All right.
I've seen it.
Of course you've seen it. And then next thing you know, there's two guys going for it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to know. We're already telling us what this commercial's for, what this medication does. Okay. We don't need to get, a display and be like, okay, yeah, this is where it's at. This is where we don't need that. And it's not right. It's not right because they're making everything so bad. A friend of ours, him as Billy.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say his last name here without his knowledge. You know
Gotcha.
who I'm talking about. Has two young kids in school. He now homeschools his kid because he showed me what the curriculum was. I couldn't fucking believe it. I could not believe it. The books that they want them to read in school.
Yeah.
And it's like, his kids are under 10 years old. His oldest just hit 10. And this is the books that you want them to fucking read in school, grammar school. They shouldn't even be reading this shit in fucking high school.
Yeah, again, we talk about the laws in Florida and how people were trashing DeSantis for the "Don't Say Gay" law, which has nothing to do with being gay. It's just don't nobody in the school can teach a 4 to 8 year old anything about trans liquidity or gender liquidity. That if you're a man, if you're a boy, you might actually be a girl. That's all the law says, and people freaked out about it. And again, it just goes back to people who want you to be tolerant are the least tolerant people in the world. And I'll say that all the time. People that I know personally who are, preaching all the time about Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ, no problem. Jeff, I don't think anybody that you and I know walk down the street and say, Black lives really don't matter. They don't. Black lives should be just wiped off the face of the earth. Nobody. To me, I always said it from the beginning, it was the dumbest statement in the world. The right line is all lives matter. And I don't care what anybody else does as long as it makes them happy and doesn't interfere in my life.
Well, that's the thing. Your life is interfering.
There it is. Say it again. Say it, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
And it's insane that people think this way. And it's not right. It's not normal. And it's almost like they want to start a problem. They want to see an issue.
Well, they do, because
understand that.
They're living on the fear. See, I heard something today and I thought it was spot on, is the older generation, people who are our age, a little younger, a little older, are afraid of the young kids. These militant, college educated, quote unquote, who come out and think they know everything, and they yell and scream. There's a school in California, I think it's Berkeley, I'm not sure. There's a school in California who decided that no longer in their curriculum will they use the word field. Field is now stricken from their curriculum. Because why, Jeff?
Field?
Field. The word field has now been stricken from their curriculum. And you know why? Because back in the day, the slaves used to tend the field.
Wow.
So the word field is now in the woke dictionary been erased.
Wow.
That's what these kids are learning in college today, and probably the last 10 years. And we just didn't know it till COVID. And people like our friend woke up and said, what are my kids learning? You're out of your mind. And the problem is people are just starting to come around to fighting it, and they're having a hard time because it's so well established right now. So people like this guy, Ivan Prokhorov, to me, I got to be honest with you. If I had the balls to do it, I would go down and buy his jersey to support the guy. And the problem is he is now a monster. He doesn't say that there's anything wrong with it. His religion doesn't allow for it, and he's following it. And to me, I give the guy credit. And that leads me into my next story about the female soccer player, Jeff, who, during the whole George Floyd thing, her team wanted to kneel for the anthem in protest, and she did some research on the group Black Lives Matter, and she found it to be a shady organization, which they were. Found out they were pissing away the money, and nobody was getting any money. They weren't giving it out to the people they should have. And she said, "No, I just don't believe in the group. I believe in the saying, but okay, but I'm not going to stand." And her coach berated her. She went from playing the most minutes to the least minutes. She basically wound up off the team. She did graduate. She wound up suing them and getting money. And she said the whole atmosphere changed. Most of the locker room didn't like me, all because I said I wouldn't kneel. And instead of saying, "Hey, if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe," no. You have to believe what we say. You have to do what we do. And but we're the most tolerant people. That's the problem with society. It's not just sports, Jeff. It's society.
Right. It's hard to argue anything you're saying. You can't argue it. It's insane, the things that they're trying to. Listen, nobody should have to live in the closet and be afraid of what they are and who they are.
Yeah.
Okay. But you also you shouldn't press your beliefs upon anybody else. You shouldn't press your beliefs on others that don't think like you and tell them that they're wrong for thinking the way that they do.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not right at all.
Hey, you know what, Jeff? Listen, we have Black Entertainment Television. We have LGBTQ channels. Bless you. I don't have to watch it if I don't want to watch it. If I want to, I'll throw it on. And that's tolerance. I don't say, hey, we should wipe certain groups off the face of the earth because I don't believe or I don't want to live that lifestyle. No, you live your lifestyle, I live on mine. We can hang out. We can pass each other in the hallway. We can watch a game. We can do anything. Just don't tell me I have to bow to your group or your wishes because you say so. And that's the problem today. And I don't know if it'll ever get fixed in our lifetime, or it might only get worse. But when you have universities out there taking the word field out because 400 years ago or 300 years ago, people were slaves in a different time, in a different era when things were done differently, and they used to tend the fields, Jeff, we're doomed. We are doomed, and we are doomed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to me, I understand how certain words, phrases, and thoughts could get under people's skins and make them worried that certain acts may once again happen. But when you're turning around and you're saying you're striking the word field from curriculum and everything else, that's like, wow, I'm over here playing on a baseball field.
Yeah.
I'm playing on a football field. It's like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yep.
You got to be honest with me. You got to be kidding me. To even say that and to have the mindset to try to say that. And in today's day and age, with the tolerance of where it is, and people with Black Lives Matter, let's stick on them for just a real quick minute. Okay? You're talking about Black Lives Matter, where you want to put Black lives to the forefront. Well, how about breaking down a barrier and calling them Black lives and calling them people instead? And the people to move. Okay. It's insane. It's fucking nuts. Insane.
It is. Yeah. And it's not going to change, unfortunately. No. I don't know where it changes or how it changes, but again, until the other side comes back to reality and says, okay, you know what? We're happy you acknowledge us, and we're happy to be partners. And we appreciate the fact that you don't have to bend when we say to bend. I gotta be honest. If I went to a game one night and they said, hey, it's Pride Night, you have to wear a rainbow shirt in there. Sorry guys, I'm gonna leave. I don't wear rainbow shirts. I don't wear them normally.
How about this? Okay, this is my thing.
Sure.
You want, all these people want equality. All right, it's all about equality. It's all about being treated the same as everybody else. It's about banishing white privilege, so to speak, and all these other things. And people want to, they want a different way of life. They want everybody on the same level playing field. All right, so that we could get that by one, not saying anything, and just try to bring whoever these people are. Instead of bringing yourself up to the level of where people are now, you're trying to tear them down and put them below you.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
That's the thing that gets me, because I could turn around and be very tolerant of things. Just as long as you're not bothering me with it, what do I care? Go do what you need to do. We're going to be here. We're going to do this. We're not bothering you. So why would you bother me and say that I can't do certain things or I have to think a certain way? It's not right. It's definitely not right.
I agree, but I think it'll get worse before it ever gets better. It's just going to take a lot of people to stand up and shout. And right now, there isn't enough people like you and me, and Adam Hines and Louis Pica, and who are going to wake up and say, I'm going to say field every day. It's funny, you can't say field, but there are certain words that people find offensive that they call each other. That if anybody else calls them, it's an obscene, it's an obscenity, and the worst word in the world. But I get on a train sometimes and I hear the word between two people of the same race, and it doesn't seem to be a problem. So I'll never understand that part of it.
No, it's absolutely sickening.
Yep.
It really is. I could see certain neighborhoods, like, the Hasidics have their own police, they have their own ambulance.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe the ambulance is set up a certain way due to religious purposes. Probably not.
Probably not.
But, I mean, that's at least what you have to think about and look at it.
Yeah.
I would not want to live in a society like that where, okay, we live in Rosebank, so, this ambulance only takes care of white people. No blacks, no Hispanics, no nothing. This is white people only. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to take this and we're going to move it over to here. Like,
yeah.
It's just so stupid. It's so just dumb, just absolutely dumb.
Yep, I can't argue with that. Again, Hard Rock and Sports. That's Jeff. I'm Tom, and we're here every Thursday night spewing our fun, bringing you some unique analysis and in-depth conversation. It could be social justice. It could be the mumbler in chief. It could be sports. It could be music. We'll talk a little music. We're going to talk a lot more football, and we'll wrap this thing up in about 40 minutes, give or take. Let's
run into the next room real quick.
Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Yep. So, guys, remember we're going to be off next week. We'll be here Saturday morning. I don't know about Jeff yet, but John and I, and hopefully Jeff will be on Saturday morning about 9 o'clock to do another edition of the Sunday Audible. We'll be breaking down this week's division round games. Again, I gave you the game Saturday, 3 o'clock. Let's see. Hold on. Let's go back again. Let me see where that page is. Sorry, folks. Let's see. Saturday at 4:30 on NBC. Jags at the Chiefs. Giants and the Eagles at Saturday night at 8:30 on Fox. Bengals and the Bills Sunday at 8 o'clock on CBS. And, of course, the Cowboys and the Niners Sunday at 6:30 on Fox. So make sure you watch all your games and then come back next Saturday. Or maybe it depends if when the Giants win, if I can coax Jeff into a show maybe Monday night or Friday night. We'll have a Hard Rock and Sports show. If not, we'll be doing a Sunday Audible show the following Saturday for championship weekend. And again, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys hanging and banging with us. We've talked a little bit of football, talked a lot about social justice and the wokenisms of the world that we don't agree with here. So, guys, just a little baseball talk. Again, we haven't talked much about the Carlos Correa signing with Minnesota Twins. I won't say he spurned the Mets. I think the Mets were smart. I know that they jumped the gun and it made Steve Cohen look a little foolish, but I think it was smart of them to pull back a little bit and not give him all that guaranteed money. I think it's too easy just to throw money at things, and I think that was a smart move. But having said that, I don't think either New York team has gotten better yet. Now we're gonna break down a lot of baseball come after the Super Bowl, maybe a little bit along the way. But I will tell you right now that the Yankee and Met teams, they're good teams. They'll both win. They might even win their division. But I could see a lot happening just like it did last year. Both teams have retooled, with the same kind of players. I think the Yankees got a little better in the bullpen with Conley and got rid of Chapman, thank God. Obviously signed Judge. So it's going to be an interesting season. But I think it was a good job by the Mets at the way they handled the Carlos Correa thing. And I'll give Steve Cohen, I thought he handled it wrong. And he opened himself up at that point to ridicule because, what happened in San Francisco. But I think they rectified themselves. They didn't throw, $200 or $300 million at a guy who in 2, 3, 4 years may be out of baseball because of past injury. So, but stick around, guys. I want to talk about a little bit. I'll get a little Twisted Sister in. We'll get a little bit of maybe a little Metallica. And again, we're going to get to this weekend's football games. We'll break them down, make our picks. We made some picks last week. I'm going to go through them with Jeff, and we'll wrap the show up at that point. So stick around. We got more to talk about. Hey, Jeff, I want to get a little football news in before we get to picking games and stuff.
Okay.
A couple things. The Rams have picked up the option for Matthew Stafford for next year. $62 million option for next year. No number one pick. I think they also don't have a number 3 pick, but no number one pick. The coach tells the rest of the coaching staff that they can go look for a job thinking he's leaving, and then he turns around and says he's staying. They spending $200 of their $225 million cap number, $62 million on a guy who barely made it through the season.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's insane. Absolutely insane, Jeff. We'll see how that plays out. I do want to talk about a little bit the Giants. Giants coach Mike Kafka got a more than one offer to interview for head coaching positions. And Jeff, I think this is the problem with the NFL today is everybody's looking for that 32, 33, 34, he's 35-year-old genius to come running in and be the superstar and instead of looking for the Brian Dable type or the guy who's put in, even though he hasn't been a head coach, he's been around for 25 years. I mean, This guy 6 years ago, Kafka, was a graduate assistant coach in college. And 6 years later, he has the ability to interview for 3 head coaching positions in the NFL and has never, barely been an offensive coordinator for a year. Jeff, I have to tell you, this is what's wrong with the NFL.
Well, the NFL is a copycat league. We've said this 1,000 times before. So whatever it is that you do and it proves successful, I got to try to do it too because it may be successful for me. And it's it's not always going to work. I would love to know the percentage of okay, we want a young coach, we want a head coach to be in his early 30s and straight out of college, and they'll be like, well, that's worked 3% of the time.
Yeah.
And we got a coach here that's in his late 40s, early 50s. He worked his way up from special teams, coach to offensive coordinator. He's been an offensive coordinator for 5 years, and to fit that criteria, these guys have been successful 35% of the time, which the normal NFL coach is only successful 22% of the time. So once somebody does something and hires somebody and has a big season with it, everybody else will go, well, we got to do it too. We got to do it too.
Yeah, no, I get it. But to me, it's a recipe. Look what happened with Nathaniel Hackett this year. Brandon Staley for the San Diego Chargers. I think he was real close to getting bounced out of there this year. Mike McDaniel in Florida had a great season, but a lot of questionable things happened in that game that could have easily changed the outcome of that game, and the Dolphins had a better chance to win. He was out coached easily, and it wasn't because Sean McDermott was great. It's because he was horrendous. There's something to be said for going through the system, spending a few years learning the trade before. And even the Jets coach had a rough year this year with play calling in certain spots, making decisions on punting and not punting, and clock management. And I think that's something that takes a while to be part of as a coordinator before you step up to being a head coach. So I think that's something to watch and see if he gets after the Giants season ends, or there's a break in the action if he actually gets a job somewhere based on his resume.
Oh, like I said, if somebody else has success in the playoffs with somebody that's like him, they're gonna go for it, and then he'll get recognized and he'll get a job out of it, man.
Yep,
it's pretty insane sometimes.
It is, Jeff. Another one. So, Jeff, one of the big questions this offseason is going to be Tom Brady, and does Tom Brady come back? And you and I both have talked about this off the air about Tom Brady the other night, and I think we could both see the handwriting on the wall that Tom Brady has finally gotten old. I am of the belief that in the right place with the right team around him, with a running game, good receivers, and a good defense, Tom Brady's got one more year and can make one more run. He can't. They're talking about him and Sean Payton going to the Panthers, and I think that would be the biggest mistake in the world for the guy. I hate to see him go out, 3-14, struggling. He needs to kind of go the way Peyton Manning did and surround yourself with a team that's got a chance to win the Super Bowl.
I don't think he's going to find that, Tom. I don't think he's going to find that, because think of how old he is. If you're a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl, okay, yep, do you want to spend the money that it may take to get a Tom Brady, especially at this point in time, because there may be a bidding war for him?
Sure.
And do you want to end up winning that bidding war and finding out that you're going to get him for 1 year, and because he ain't going to be able to perform? He looked tired this year.
He did. I agree with that. Yeah.
He didn't look like he was the Tom Brady of old.
Nope.
Does he still have zip on the ball? Yeah. But, what is he, 45? He's going to play again when he's 46?
That's what it looks like. I have a hard time believing he's going to go out. I think he's going to play one more year. I think it's one more season for Tom Brady. The question is going to be where. Vegas is a spot where, they have a decent team, kind of on the bubble toward the end of the year, or making the playoffs and being part of things. And he gets to reunite with Josh McDaniel, his old offensive coordinator. There's rumors of him going back to the Patriots, which I could never see. The Dolphins are a spot. And the big rumor is him and Sean Payton going to the Panthers together, and I think that's the biggest mistake in the world.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
No way I wouldn't do that. No
they
way.
got some pieces over there. They have a decent set of receivers. The defense is playing a little better. I'm questioning about the offensive line in my own head, but to me, that's a mistake. I think if you're Tom Brady and there's a chance to go someplace and be successful, you do it. But if your options are teams like the Panthers, I've heard the Texans' name been thrown in there, the Saints' name's been thrown in there, I would steer clear of all those kind of teams and go out on top. Even though they didn't play great, they did make the playoffs. He threw a couple touchdown passes and right off into the sunset. If you're asking me,
well, we're gonna see what happens. We'll know sooner or later. I personally think that it's time for him to retire. I don't know what else he has to prove, and if he goes to his third team, are people gonna start looking at him and saying that he's a journeyman?
No, I don't think you're ever going to say he's a journeyman, but does it tarnish the career a little bit? It definitely does. But, listen, whenever you think of Tom Brady, you're going to think Patriots. You're going to think 7 Super Bowls between the two teams. You're going to think the best player. I would just hate to see him go out next year and either quit in the middle of the season because the team is so bad or because he's gotten beaten up so bad. If you're going to do it one more, make sure it's with a team that's got a legit chance. What team that is? I think the team to watch is Miami. I think Miami's got to make a move because you can't go into another season with a guy who's so susceptible to concussions and being injured. And I also don't think he's very good anyway. But I think Miami's a place where the defense ain't bad. They got a good running game and they got great receivers. I think that's a spot to watch.
I think they got to watch with Tua down there.
Yeah, I agree.
This guy here, what is going to be left of him?
I agree.
You know what I mean? I just don't see anything being left of him mentally. This kid is going to have fucking CTE before he's 30.
Yeah. No, that's my point. I think if you're the Dolphins, you almost gotta say, hey, you're gonna be second string and let you get completely healthy, or we just can't go on with you. We're gonna release you, let you go, or trade you. I could see them bringing in a young quarterback or having a guy like Skylar Thompson who did not play bad the other night. He was picked 15 spots ahead of Brock Purdy in that draft. So I think he, again, will he be a great quarterback? I have no idea. I haven't watched him enough, but he represented himself very well in that playoff game. And, if you can bring a Brady in there for a year and let him sit and learn and watch how it gets done, maybe it gives the kid a jump start. I just think that the Dolphins would be a recipe for disaster to go into season next year with Tua as their quarterback and with all the stuff they went through this year.
Yeah, I don't listen. There were times where he played good and the Dolphins were looking good, but they were bounced after the first round.
Yeah.
And, that coaching staff should be made. They should have been fined a hefty amount for letting him go back and play a game. And the medical staff on that team should have definitely have been fucking fined or suspended for a year for what they did, allowing him to go back in the game.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Maybe if they didn't allow him to go back, maybe they helped save him near the end of his career, because I certainly don't think that they did a good enough job to help him out,
Yeah.
At this point in time. That was a shame.
I agree. Now, I want to get back to the Lamar Jackson to the Jets thing one more time, Jeff, before we move on to other things to finish the show. The one other thing I want to point out to everybody is, beside the fact that he's going to want a ton of money. I don't think he fits in the systems. I think his game is not the true game of today, which should be guys like Josh Allen, who are big guys who can throw the ball, but they can also run and make you pay for it. The problem I have with it is I believe he quit on that team at the end of the season and didn't come back to play because of this. And there was one of his receivers, and I'm trying to think of the guy's name off the top of my head, and they were talking about, he's been hurt. Will he play? Is he going to be cleared to play? And the guy came out and said, they asked him, what's going to go out with Lamar? And the guy said, well, I hope he decides to play. And I took that to say, hey, wait a second. This may turn into being his decision whether he should play or not. And he doesn't want to go out there and get further hurt to damage his chance on getting another contract, whether it's from the Ravens or another team. And I believe that guy quit on that team this year because of his contract situation, and it just hasn't come out that way. And
Well, on a couple of the different Facebook pages, that has been said.
okay, good. It wasn't just me picking that up. Good.
No, it was said that he quit on the team.
Yeah, I firmly believe that he did because he wants more money and because he didn't want to get himself further hurt or hurt at all. And this year, I think that's what he did. And if I'm guys on the Jets, if I'm the Jets coaching staff and management, I would be very careful to give a nice big, because he's not going to come to the Jets and play for free. He's going to want a new deal, So to me, they got to be very careful what they do with that guy. And he's not coming here, not right away or anywhere without a deal that's comparable to Deshaun Watson.
Have you heard anything about his character?
Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, not at all. I don't know if he's a good guy, if he's considered a bad guy. I really don't know.
Oh, somebody has said it. Next time I see it, I'll take a screenshot of it, where they said that he is not a good guy and not a solid citizen.
I tell you the truth, Jeff. That's something I've never heard one way or the other. So yeah, I won't argue it.
I never heard it one way or the other either.
It's interesting, and I think that matters. I think it matters. But again, this is going to be we'll get more to the offseason probably in the week between the NFL Championship game and the Super Bowl. You have the bye week, and there's an interesting Pro Bowl this year, Jeff. There is no more Pro Bowl. It's more of a skills competition and a flag football game.
Yeah, which could end up being worse than an actual Pro Bowl.
I don't know. I know. I want to say that they're bringing in legends, so it's going to be like some of the younger guys today with guys like Joe Montana playing and some of the old timers. So I'm for the first time in probably 30 years, I will probably tune into the Pro Bowl to see what it looks like, just so we can talk about it on the show, because ain't nothing else on the watch that day anyway. And
no, you could watch the Pro Bowl all you like. I just don't think that it's a good idea.
I went and watched the regular Pro Bowl. If they were playing the usual Pro Bowl where they're out there not tackling each other, not playing football, I would never watch it. But this version, to see what a flag football game look like, to watch them do skills competitions, I'll check it out. But we'll get to that in a couple of weeks when the time's right. And one last story. So we know that the Cardinals got rid of their coach, Cliff Kingsbury, who I was never a fan of. And they finally got rid of him after another bad year. And we all know the situation this year. They would give a Kyler Murray a new contract. They wanted to stick in that clause about he has to go film study and all that, and it turned into a big thing. Well, do you know, after all of that, the owner of the team came out and said, well, of course we're going to have Kyler Murray. He's going to be right in there and we're going to take his opinion on who the next coach should be. And I'm saying to myself, why are we letting the inmates run the asylum? There are teams, and the Cardinals are one of them, Jeff, that just can't get out of their own way. Why would you take your underachieving, not liked in the locker room quarterback who got his head coach fired because he didn't play well and has a bad attitude, and give him a say on who's the coach in the future? I just don't get it.
I agree with you, and then I hear you, but the sad part of it is that this is the life of the NFL now, and it's a shame, because if you have a quarterback, then you have a quarterback, and we're not going to let this guy, nothing happen to this guy. We're going to value his feelings. We're going to value his opinion.
Yep.
And it's just not like, I agree with you. It's like, doesn't make much of the way of sense. It's like, how are you saying that you're going to listen to this guy and feel as though that he should have a say who the quarterback coach is?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and again, it's the typical franchise. It's that typical franchise that just underachieves every year, starts out like a house of fire, falls apart, and the lead, the head guy who's been the biggest disappointment is the guy you want to hand the keys to. It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't make sense to me.
No, and it's something that's been, you've seen it happen in other organizations.
Yeah.
And how has it all happened when these guys, it happens in the NBA, and it works out for some teams in the NBA. Look at LeBron, what he did with Wade and Bosch. He was able to make a run for it, but would they get one championship out of it?
Yeah, no, they got 2 out of that Miami one. They got 2 in Miami.
Championships.
They went 3 times. They won twice. Then they went to Cleveland and won one, and then he went to Los Angeles. He won at least one here. So yeah, I think he's got 4 already. 4 out of 9 trips or something like that.
Yeah, I know he's won. A couple. Yeah. I don't know how many it is, but
yeah.
Listen, he'll never be.
Same problem. You're right. Same problem.
Michael.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and it's the same problem. You're letting a guy who's a player decide who's going to coach a team because he likes him personally, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
it's a recipe for disaster. Hey, Jeff, before we get to the picking the games, and we'll end the show on that. I noticed a couple things. One, Twisted Sister's coming back. They're going to do 3 songs at whatever the Metal Hall of Fame is. Their drummer is going to be Mike Portnoy, who along with Dave Grohl, seems to show up everywhere that the drummer's needed. And I saw something Kiss has said that even though their farewell tour that's been going on for about 4 years now, we were at the beginning of it. I think that was just before COVID.
Yeah.
They're saying that this is going to be the end, but we may play a couple of shows here and there just to kind of get together. And then we all know the Motley Crue thing. Crue came out a bunch of years ago and said, we're retiring, we're signing contracts, we're never coming back. No big deal. That's it, we're done. Then they came back because they said, we had a deal that if we came back, we all had to come back. Well, they did that, and now Mick Mars has basically been thrown out of the band for health reasons, and they got John Five in there, and they're going to continue to play. Jeff, I got to ask the question. All these bands retire. Nobody stays retired. Why retire? Why not just go, hey, we're playing next week, and then not play again? And if you come back, you come back. Why make this whole big thing about retiring? We're done. It's all over, and then go, we might come back. I don't get it. I think it's actually a slap in the face to your fans when you do it.
Well, listen, the fans don't have a problem with Motley Crue, for instance.
I agree.
I see a lot of people talk about it and everything else, and they're like, thank God they're coming back, and they're a great band, they this, they that. Meanwhile, I don't like them.
Yeah.
But then again, who cares what I like? And the people are paying the tickets for this. As far as Mick Mars goes, that guy looks sick.
Oh, of course. He's looked sick for 30 years.
Yeah, and I don't know why you would even want to go out on the stage with him. So if the guy wants to retire and you don't want to stop playing, that's fine. Go ahead, retire. But don't come back in a few years. As far as Kiss goes, Kiss has been at it for 50 years, just about, if not 50 years. You don't think that? Imagine just turning around and saying, "That's it. I'm done. I never have to do this again." It's not a regular job. You're playing music that you're writing. You're a successful band. It's got to be a rush to play in front of 30,000 people a night.
Yeah, sure.
You're not talking about they played Mother Pugs and there was 25 people, but there was a lot of people for Mother Pugs last night. You're talking a lot of, you could get a lot of fucking people, a rush. The money that they're making is phenomenal. It's different than our money. You know what I mean? Like they just making a heavy dosage of money. They don't want to stay retired. They don't want. They want to live the life. What their problem is that they're in their 70s. That's what.
But then why retire? If you need the money or you like the money and you enjoy the rush, then why retire? Just keep playing until you decide we're done, and then that's it. Hey, we played a tour. We're not going to play another one. That was 2 years ago, but we're actually retired.
They probably turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to retire. No, I can't. I'm going to come back. I'm going to retire. No, I can't. When it gets slow during pandemic, a lot of bands probably like, man, fuck this. We should retire.
Yeah.
But then they start playing again, and they're like, nah, I can't. I can only speak for myself that I played a show a couple weeks ago, and it was a great feeling. The band went over big. We had fun. It sounded good. It went over nice. And it's like all the times that I think I don't want to be out this late. I don't want to be dragging stuff home. But then again, it happened, and I was like, man, I had a great night. I've had a lot of fun. But here I am dragging shit home at fucking 3 a.m. But
Yep.
at least I'm getting to play. These guys, they don't have to do that. They don't carry their own shit, setting their own shit up. They get chauffeured around and, all right, come on, we're going to go eat dinner, and then we got to go do the sound check, and then we're going to go hang out in the back for a while. And they're living a lifestyle that we know nothing about because God only knows what they're doing, between doing God knows whatever they want to do in a decadent lifestyle. They could be married. I mean, that's stupid for a rock to be married. They're getting stuff thrown their way all the time. But it is what it is.
Yep. No, I get it. I just, like I said, if your intention is to be retired, retire. And why make a big deal? Just, play your last show and move on. But too many bands have retired and unretired and re-retired and unretired. It's only, as far as I can think of, there's only one major band who retired and never came back, and that's the Beatles. And they still remain probably one of the best bands of all time, even to this day. So, let's get Jeff.
No, other bands have retired too. Like, Led Zeppelin never really came back as Led Zeppelin. They never really got a drummer. They played some shows here and there, but it never came back as Led Zeppelin. And some of the other bands, it's just, Black Sabbath, they never did. It's just, you wonder, like, what does it make them feel? Like, what do they want to do? How did you want it to end? It's not going to end on a good note for guys like that because they did it for so long. It was their lives. It was their career. It was like bringing up a family. It was like bringing up a kid that you nurtured, and you got it to a point where it's like it's a machine. It's a business.
Yeah.
And now it's time to quit. And for all the years you did it and all the traveling you did, it can't be a good feeling to say, that's it. That's it. We're done here. But a band like Motley Crue, who cares? They needed to tour with 3 or 4 other bands to sell at a stadium.
No, you're right. 100%. You're on the money. You're again. Like I said, I just wish I would respect it more if you retired, called it a day, and didn't come back to do one-off shows or new tours or whatever it is. And but listen, what it doesn't matter. I ain't going to the show anyway. So what's the difference, right?
Yeah. All right.
Let me
I wouldn't want to waste the money.
Accident. Okay, so let's move on to the last segment of the show, Jeff. I do want to get our picks for this week's games. I know you're a little tired, so let's get to the picks and the games and run through those, and then we'll call it a night right after that. Okay, so Jeff, starting out, we're going to hold the Giants to last. We'll start off with the let's see. There's my notes, Jeffrey. Okay, so the Saturday at 4:30 game on NBC is the Jaguars, who beat the Chargers last week, coming up against the number 1 team in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is going to be a very, very close game, Jeff. I don't have a way that the Jaguars win this game, but it would not surprise me if it's close. But I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs come out and they win this game. Probably 2 touchdowns or it's somewhere in that double-digit range over the Jaguars, who are a little inexperienced, and the Chiefs are just playing too good. So I'll take the Chiefs at home to win this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you on that one. I think the Chiefs are gonna do it at home also. Listen, unless the Chiefs get bored and they want Jacksonville to keep it close, I don't see a reason why the Chiefs don't pull out ahead quickly and stay there.
Okay. The Sunday 3:00 game on CBS. To me, the premier game of the weekend. Bengals and the Bills. Jeff, a game that was postponed a few weeks back because of the DeMar Hamlin thing, who's been over at the Buffalo facility almost every day, and I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up game day this week. But the Bengals are traveling to Buffalo with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I believe the spread is only 3.5 in that game. And the way Buffalo played last week, both teams really weren't pretty when they won. But I don't like the way the Buffalo Bills have played this year. and I think they're ripe for a beating. I think the emotions was last week, and it didn't do them any good. They hung on to beat the Dolphins, who were lifeless at the end of the season. I'm taking the Bengals in this one. I got a feeling that this will be a close game, but the Bengals will come out on top by probably short of a touchdown. This is probably a late field goal or a 4 or 5 point game.
I got to go with the Bills, Tom. I think that they're going to turn it on, and I think the only problem I have with this game is just that it's a divisional round. I would not have had a problem with this as the AFC Championship game.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I hope that one of these two teams is going to win, whatever. But I hope that Kansas City advances so that we could possibly get a second great game. And I hope that it turns out to be a great game. What's up there, Michael? How are you?
Hey, Mike Weissman. What's up, pal?
We missed you all night, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Mike to stop in, and great guy.
Absolutely. You know what, Jeff, about this game? Well, I think what's good about the AFC is you're going to get one of the top 3 teams in the Super Bowl. You're going to have Kansas City or Cincinnati or Buffalo, and so at the very least in one conference, you're going to have a team that's a super serious contender. Like, I don't consider the Cowboys. I don't consider the Giants at this point Super Bowl contenders, but they have the chance or the ability to get there at this point, depending on who they play.
Well, you are right. You have, but this is the NFL.
No, I get it.
This is the playoffs. Anybody can win at any given time. So you can't really turn around and say that, these teams, you don't know who's going to win and everything else. You just don't know who's going to win and how it may end up turning out. So I'm curious to see what happens.
Yep.
I'm anxious to see what happens, and I'm looking forward to these games. Personally, I would love to see, 49ers, Chiefs, 49ers, Bills, Bills, Dallas, a game like that. So I'm hoping that the right combination moves forward, and gotta hope, they are in the playoffs, but I hope the Jacksonville Jaguars do not advance. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, again, listen, for a storyline, the Jaguars would be interesting. For a storyline, the Giants would be interesting. Of course, for me, I'm biased on that one, but you're right. I think, if we were picking based on where the teams are, I think the interesting story would be, obviously Niners get in there with Purdy. At that point, they'd have won, 11 in a row, 13 in a row, or 12 in a row?
Well, what are they up this week? Would be 11.
Yeah, so 12 and 13. So it'd be a 13 and 0.
13 in a row before the game starts.
Well, it'd be 12 and 0 with that, with a chance to go 13 in the Super Bowl. So, but I still think the 3 best teams in football come out of the AFC. So unless the Giants win this week, I'll be rooting the AFC the rest of the way. I'll be rooting for any one of those teams along the way because I hate the Niners and I hate the Cowboys and I certainly hate the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't like the Eagles either.
Yeah. Let's move on to let's get to the Cowboy-Niner game. Jeff, it's going to come down to which Cowboy team shows up. If the Cowboy team that showed up Monday night against the listless, not very good, led by old quarterback Tom Brady Buccaneers, if that team shows up this week, they got a chance to play and they got a chance to win this game. Dak was impressive. It was the best game I've seen him play in probably half a season. The defense looked like it was there, but this is a tough matchup. This defense for the Niners is a good, tough as nails defense. They got a lot of weapons on offense and a kid who's just not making mistakes. So I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. I think they're just too tough at home against a team that's probably not very good in the Cowboys, a little bit of a shell team with 12 wins this year. I'll take the Niners to win this one at home.
Man, it's a hard fucking thing. I mean, I like the idea of Mr. Irrelevant, the 262nd pick in the draft, making waves in the playoffs. I think it's cool that he's doing what he's done.
Right.
And that he's leading this team and that he's playing solid, too. It's not like he's had a couple lucky games. He seems to be playing really good. So I'd like to see him continue. So I'm going to take the 49ers in this one.
Okay, so we're on the same page on that one. Jeff's got the Niners. All right, so Jeff leads us to the last game of the night, which is the Saturday night game, prime time, 8:30. New York Giants traveling down the turnpike to face their arch enemy, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in the last 30 games. In the last 30 games, how many games do you think that the Eagles have won in the last 30 games against the Giants?
Probably 10.
They are 24-6 in their last 30 games against the New York Giants.
Wow, that's a pretty serious record.
Now, there's a lot of people who say, "Well, it's coming time. They beat us twice this year. It sounds like it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times a season. It's actually happened 15, I think, out of 23 times, or 15 out of 26 times that the team going for the sweep of the season actually gets it. So it's not that rare. I think this is a team this is a game on 2 teams on 2 different wavelengths. It's a team that's really super talented in the Eagles, who have been playing down a little bit the last couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see if the bye helps them or hurts them, Jeff. And then there's a team like the Giants, who don't have a lot of talent, especially on defense and their receiving core, but chemistry and a lot of confidence have gotten them to this point where they're a tough team. And if Philly gets off to a slow start or the Giants get off to a fast start, I could see the Giants win this game. And I'm going to pick the Giants based on the fact that I'm a fan, and I do believe that there's a chance they can win. I'm going to say that if the Giants win this game, it's going to be a 30-27, 30-24 game. I'll pick the Giants. Again, am I confident? Yes. Am I super confident? No. I think this is a really good Eagles team on paper with a really tough defense and a high-powered offense, and the Giants have a very tough time. Boston Scott, the running back for the Eagles, has 18 career touchdowns, 10 of them against the Giants. So, yeah. So, this is going to be a tough game for the Giants. If they can keep it close, I think the Eagles get, here's where the pressure is, Jeff. You're the Eagles. You're supposed to win this game. You're supposed to beat the Giants pretty easy. You hung 48 points on them the first time. If this game is close in the fourth quarter, does the pressure creep in? And, all the pressure's on the team that went 14-3 this year. All the teams that had the early season MVP candidate, the pressure's on them. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Eagles let the pressure get to them and make some mistakes and give the Giants a win here. So I think this is going to be a good football game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'll be surprised if it is, but I'm going to pick the Giants to win 30-24.
I don't see the Giants winning this. I just don't. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I don't know about 30-24. I'm thinking more along the lines of 35-7.
I saw your thing. Yeah, don't worry about it. I saw it. That means nothing. In fact, I am only thankful you picked the Eagles. After last week, you mushed the Vikings. I am only praying now that you've mushed the Eagles, and at some point Saturday night, you'll be getting some ridiculously go fuck you texts from your buddy here. Going, it's the Super Bowl, baby.
I hope I get to send them to you.
I know you do. Listen,
I'll find a way to send them anyhow.
I know you will, and it's all good. It's going to be fun. I'll be eating some wings. I'll be watching some good football all day, and I'll be right in the middle of start of my vacation. So I'm looking forward to that. So
vacation.
I'm off. I go back a week from Tuesday. So tomorrow's my last day. So Saturday to the following Monday, I go back to work on Tuesday.
All right, and then what do you got? One more week left for the year?
Well, it's one of those things. Like I don't know. I could take off 6 weeks. I could take off no weeks. It's not really like I have to. I mean, the industry standard is I get a guaranteed 2. I've never really taken more than 2. I took 2 all of last year. I took 2, and it was in February. I took 2 weeks in February, and I didn't have any more. I didn't have another vacation the rest of the year. So. Yeah, that's just the way the industry. That's the way my industry is, and it's just kind of the way I am. And I got a couple more years of this kind of nightmare, and then. But I like the people I work for. They're great people, and I get a little bit of a rush. Doing my job every day. But yeah, I'm going to get a nice break. I got some work to do around the house. I'm going to watch a lot of football this weekend. I'll take a little trip with the wife, and we'll be back on the air the following week after that. But. Again, Saturday morning, guys, the Sunday Audible will be there. I don't know if Jeff's planning to join us, but 9 o'clock this Saturday morning, John, myself, and hopefully Jeff will be on the air breaking down the games this weekend. And then, of course, the following Saturday, we'll be back on the air no matter what to break down the NFC Championship games with the Sunday Audible again. So even though there's no Hard Rock in Sports. So, any shows coming up, Jeff? Anything to announce?
No, we're doing a private party
Uh-huh.
In the beginning of February.
Okay.
Nothing. 25 missions is chugging along slowly, getting tighter, waiting for the warmer weather.
Okay.
The Remorons are just, the name of the band is fitting. I'll put it that way.
I got you. So let's real quick. I'm gonna throw something else. So let's say somehow the Giants make it and they get to the Super Bowl. Can we say that somehow, some way, we'll watch the Super Bowl together if the Giants are in the Super Bowl this year?
Listen, you never know what's going to happen. I would love to be able to do something like that, without a doubt. I wouldn't discount it, but we got to see what happens, man.
Let's see if we get there.
Got to see what happens. I would love to watch. I would love to be there and watch the Giants getting fucking drubbed. That you're like, why did I ask him here? Why is he here?
Wouldn't bother me a bit. Wouldn't bother me a bit.
Oh, I would be sitting there looking at you the whole time like this.
Look, just the fact that my team makes the Super Bowl this year, you couldn't knock me off the pedestal if you tried.
Oh, I'll try.
Oh, I didn't say you would try. You could try. But all right, folks, we're going to wrap it up right here. Jeff's a little tired, and I got a few things to do before the night's over, so we'll wrap it up right here. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I guess my dad was a little busy. He has to pop up with us. But I'm sure he'll be back on the next one. And, Dad's had some phone issues, and I spent about 40 minutes before the show trying to get his phone onto my account and then get his phone started, and it's just been a long day. So I left about 5 to 7. Huh?
His house phone?
His cell phone.
His cell phone?
Yeah, I don't know. His phone. He has what they call a track phone. It's a brand. And he pays prepays minutes for the year. Like he pays $100-something for a bunch of minutes for the year. He doesn't use it very much. And his phone wasn't working the other night. He came over to the house for me to try to take a look at it. And, every time we went to make a phone call, the bars dropped. But you can send text messages out. So we were trying to get on the phone with track phone. They didn't know, and they don't have a store. You got to go to find a Walmart that's got a track phone representative. So I said, Dad, listen. Let's just get your phone, put it on my account, transfer your number over, and you ain't got to worry about it. For $10 a month, what are you worried about?
Yeah.
And but the phone finally came today, and then my wife took them to T-Mobile store. They got it hooked up, and then she got home. They got a text message that there was a problem. Track phone wasn't playing nice, and we had to do the whole thing on the phone. Like again, it was my wife's yelling at them. I had to get on the phone, and then it's 5 minutes to the show, I still did nothing. I sprinted to do the show, and then I don't know. I guess I don't know if he had a problem. They were back on the phone again, and that's why he didn't pop up. But
he calls in via the phone, and
no. But I guess he's without a phone for 2 days, so he's been a little. If he goes out of the house, my mother's got nowhere to reach him. If she gets nervous that he's out and she can't get in touch with him, and then he's president of his community, so all the people are calling his phone. With their problems, and he can't deal with it unless there's only for him. If he's out of the house, how's he going to know? So I was trying to get him on the thing, and worked out. What are you going to do?
That sucks.
Yeah, so that's what we did. But listen, guys, it's been a blast. It's been the show flies by. I can't believe 2 hours is up here and gone already. But we'll have to get ready to do this in about 2 weeks. So I'll say thank you to everybody, all the people who paid attention online, Louis Peaker and Mike Weissman and Adam Hines, the guys from Black Sasquatch. They're some of my favorite people. I'm just running it back. My cousin Todd, who likes to pop up and break my balls, and everybody else who checked in. Thank you very much. And I want to just say, give Jeff the last word. Jeff, you got anything you want to add to the show?
Just looking forward to some playoff football, and hopefully next week. That's why you're taking off, man.
Why is that?
You're afraid that this is it.
No, listen. You want to do a show Monday night? I am all for it. Win or lose, I am available Monday night.
I wouldn't do that to you.
I got no issues. I love talking on this show. I love doing this. And win or lose, I am proud of my New York Football Giants. I got the gear on. now that I've lost the weight, I got a bunch of shirts that I can get into again. And but win or lose, it's been a great season. We discovered that we got everybody else to discover that we got our franchise quarterback and our franchise running back, our franchise left tackle, and the good things are headed for the future, and our coach. So looking forward to it. So I'll end it with that to say, hey guys, enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Enjoy a lot of great football. I hope you guys win a lot of money and have a great week. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks for the Hard Rock and Sports Show. I'll let you know when that is. But for Jeff Towinski, myself, and everybody here at the Hard Rock and Sports Show, thanks for tuning in. Stay healthy and enjoy yourself. Jeff, I'll talk to you off the air.
You got it, man.
See you.
Later, bro.